people sit down and they say, I want a Ferrari, or I'm a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. It has to be within your realm. Your brain knows. Your brain knows you're not a millionaire yet, or a billionaire, whatever you want to be. You have to say, I am engaging in the activities on the pursuit of financial independence. That's real.
That's real. Yeah.
That's obtainable.
I am taking action on the opportunities I've created or discovered, right? Like, you know the end goal.
Welcome to the Success Flow podcast, where our mission is simple: to be better each day and relay our findings with other relentless humans defining success for themselves. If that sounds like you, let's begin.
I just realized that Strand is getting some free advertisement on this.
Yeah, the Flightwork shirt, dude. That shirt.
We got to get better at this. We're doing way too much advertising on this.
We sure are. That's all good. We're givers. Givers gain. The Gary V YouTube video of how he talks about the lottery of life. Have you heard this? So like YouTube, the lottery of life, Gary V. It's like he's having a conversation with somebody like over the phone or whatever, and he's talking about the lottery of life, and he goes, so you won the lottery of life. Like, the odds of you being born is like astronomically low. And the fact that you were a human being and not like some slug in the road that just got smashed by a semi, like, you're a human being. You won the lottery of life, and you're not driven. You're not motivated to create something or do something of significance. Like, you're not driven. And he calls these people out and he goes, "You suck." He's like, what the heck? Like, you won the. Is that a baby? You have a baby?
Dude, keep talking, dude. This is the great sperm race, man. This video blew my mind.
So your dad's little swimmers. You were the one that just outlasted everybody, chugging along. Like, how driven you were going through that journey, and then you're born, and then the rest of your life you're not driven. Like, you're not motivated. So Gary Vee talks about it, and it's a quick short. It's like a minute-long YouTube video.
I think that's the wrong video.
I don't know what you're showing me. I think it's just a bunch of sperms. All right,
Dude, this is so funny you brought this up, because I saw this video on Instagram that blew my mind. It was like this digital race, and it was the perspective of this one swimmer that is you. I've used this term so many times. Like, if you're having a bad day, you think that the Boston Marathon is cool. Everyone to make it to this point, you were the literally supreme living organism in that race. It's amazing. There's no reason to doubt yourself.
Right. Yeah. No. Anyway, you're right. I mean, it's like you could have been a freaking like a piece of moss on a rock on the side of a riverbank, but instead you were a human being, right? And you're like, you don't have goals. You're not building habits and processes and things to do. Like, it baffles me that some people are like that. And Gary Vee's, he talks about that a lot. And he's very brash, right? Like, so I edited out telling that story about 15 F words as he's going through that conversation with that gal or guy. I don't know who it was, but
I'm really glad that I'm on my personal computer right now, because I'm just typing sperm race for this.
Now you're going to get all these Google alerts. Like saying, Phil, do you know the location of a sperm bank?
You know where I'll find it? I sent it to Mark. I sent it to Mark, so I'll be able to go back through the messages. But I think about that a lot. Like, I don't know. You start, some of the plant medicines that I've, been experimenting with. You start going back to, like, a lot of it is ancestral twine, like following your DNA back. We've shared a breath with a mother all the way back to whoever that first, whatever you believe, whether it's the original ape back to the sea. Like, there has been a string of breaths in and out all the way back to the beginning of that existence. It blows my, like, you think about it.
Yeah.
Your mom breathed from your grandma. Like, there hasn't been a break in that chain of breathing. It messed me up. Like, thinking about because you can't stop breathing for more than a couple minutes. So
right.
You think about how resilient the human body has to be to survive that long and to keep reproducing. It's mad.
It is. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, is to reproduce. But I think there's a lot of fun things that we can do.
Well, that'll be another debate for another day.
Okay, so human race, like naturally, like every living being, their goal is to continue on, right? That's what I mean. Like, you don't have to have children, but you have to
want to practice.
In the whole world, like the purpose of, when you go down to the very nitty gritty of why, it's just to continually reproduce. Any, like animals, right? Like snakes, lions, whatever. Like, they don't want to go extinct, and neither do we. And so that's like this whole purpose. You continue to reproduce. But when you think about that sperm race that you're Googling now and is embedded into your Google thing, like what's your song that you play on the 18th hole of every golf course? Throw that on
final countdown.
Throw that on as the background music, and that'll get you going.
We're heading for ovaries. Dude, besides reproducing, I would argue that we're here to
transcend.
This is an amazing book. Scott Barry Kaufman, big with the Flow Research Collective. I know people are probably getting tired of me talking about that, but that we are here given a certain state of circumstances, and literally with those raw materials, what are we able to transcend from there? What is the potential? Once we have our basic needs met, what can we do from there? Like, this phrase that keeps popping up. I tweeted it this morning. I actually tweeted Oprah's version. What a man can do, he must. Mm-hmm. That always rings in my head. Like, and Oprah's is, to whom much is given, much is expected. And winning that sperm race gives us so much. Some more than others. When you talk about the what do they call it? The geographical lottery, or the silver spoon lottery, like Jeff Bezos' kids. Like,
yeah,
good for them. Yeah. Good for them, but not what I would want.
Right.
It's what are you given and what can you make out of it? How can you literally get to that closest potential? Ed Milet talks about being terrified, and I level with this, of when he dies, meeting the man he could have been, and he wants to be as close to that guy, so when he meets him, he's not just utterly shattered and disappointed. Like, how do I get as close to that greatest possible version of myself, so when I meet him after I die, I'm like, gave it a good run. I love it.
No, that's great. And he talks about the power of one more. And if you read his book, Power of One More, Ed Milet, it's just having faith in your potential and just maximizing your efforts and your abilities. And I think working on yourself, transcending yourself to get to that max potential, but also teaching and educating and showing others how to maximize. Like, the more you give back to other people, whether it's your kids or other people in your community or whatever, you want them to be better than what they are right now. And especially as you get older, if you can teach the younger audience the same thing, and just building generation, to just bring a better world and better versions of us as a human race. I think that's what it's all about. So transcending is a great word. Ed Milet's one of the guys that I listen to a lot in his podcast, and read both of his books. And I actually have heard him speak live this year. I heard him speak at a conference, and dude, talk about a powerful, emotional, like, it pulled the heartstrings. You might tear up. Like, it's very, but he gives you knowledge. Like, dude, we're all gonna die, right? We're all gonna die. It's inevitable in this world, in this state, right? Whatever your beliefs are after that, that's yours. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But what matters is, at this state, if you don't maximize your potential in the life that you have here, then you're selling yourself short. And I think it goes back to challenging yourself on purpose to continue that growth.
I think that one of the reasons you and I like Ed Milet a lot is, I don't know, you get these common questions. I think the quote is, as go the father, so go the son type of deal, and how that's such a big part of our society that's missing for a lot of guys. And we talk about our relationships with your dad. He's going to be on the podcast, changed my life. But the way Ed Milet talks about how his dad was his hero, and I think that's when he gets the most emotional. When he talks about the challenges his dad had, but his dad overcame them, and how they were able to build that relationship late in life. It's really hard not to get emotional when he talks about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you read the book, he goes into it, and the power of one more. His dad was an alcoholic, and so he talks about that in the early days, and then his dad got sober, and he talks about how it wasn't, I'm going to be sober for the rest of my life. It's, I'm going to be sober for one more day. Right. And so it's just having that concept of like, I'm going to do it one more day, and then just compounding every single day. You say that to yourself, and
that's anything. It's not necessarily alcohol.
No,
right?
Totally. I'm going to work out today.
Yep.
You say that every day, you're going to get there and work out today, every day.
I'm going to eat salads today, or vegetables, clean eating. Like, and if you track that, which is going to be a whole nother episode that I want to get into, us tracking these things, that's what help you move that needle and start. Seinfeld's putting a red X on the calendar. Write content. Did I write content today? And then you have a calendar full of red X's, and you don't want to break the chain.
Yeah, there's manifestation, visualization, all those types of things, and there was a quote actually I pulled from that conference. I take a lot of notes, and I'm not the best note taker, but I throw things in my phone when I like what I hear, and I saved this one. And one of the ones he says when you repeatedly visualize and obsessively think about something, you tell your RAS, which is your reticular activating system, and to pay attention to that thought, and that's when the world slows down. And it kind of goes into the flow state stuff, right? Absolutely. So reticular activating system, he brings it up in the book too, but it's like, when you're thinking about, hey, I want to go buy a red car, and now all of a sudden everywhere you drive, you're going down the highway, and all you see is red cars, right? Like that reticular activating system is filtering out the things that don't matter to you at that point, and filtering in the things that are important to you. And so when you repeatedly activate have a good RAS, or focus on the things that you want to accomplish, better on the things that matter in your life, then your life starts to begin to change, and it repeatedly creates opportunities and outcomes that will fast forward your life. So he talks about that a lot. I think that was a really neat nugget. But visualization and manifestation, you can see that in the sports world too. You talk, Tiger Woods and those guys, Michael Jordan, like they're talking about, I am a champion at a very early age, and then they that's in their mindset, that's in their brains, it's all the time, and
people judge this stuff as being woo woo, or that secret law of attraction stuff, which I can understand. I used to be that guy, that kind of practical Midwesterner, and until you start doing this stuff and stuff starts coming to you, because you can't help. If you get this into your subconscious mind, it's there to make you survive most of the time. That's why we survive, is because it's our subconscious telling us what to do. You have a computer with that reticular activating system, with the subconscious mind. If you can program that to do the things that you say you want to do, you're going to start doing them. Your body is going to default to those activities. And that is when the power happens. That's when I'm in the other room, and see those hairs standing up?
Yeah, chills, man.
Dude, like I've witnessed it. I've done it, and not as consistently as I'd hope. And I know that it can be. It's an ongoing practice, like we're talking about. But the changes, and I'm surrounded by a group of people now that are doing the same thing, and you can't argue with it once you've experienced it. Yeah,
visualization or manifestation, or having your morning mantra. I don't know if you do this, but I do this every morning. I have a mantra that I say to myself in the morning, and it's instead of saying I will statements, it's I am statements. So like your brain doesn't focus on the past or the future. It only focuses on present tense. So if you're telling yourself all the time, I will be happy when I achieve this goal, instead say I am happy because I'm on the right path, right? And so you have to change your mindset of in the present and saying I am statement. So what I say to myself every morning is I am all in to make today great. I am going to take action on the opportunities that present themselves to further my growth towards my dreams. I am an unstoppable beast. And I just say those three little phrases to myself every morning, and that's part of my morning ritual of building those habits. And it just consciously is building it into my brain. I say it over and over and over every morning. And now I feel like I am a freaking unstoppable beast. Like I can do whatever I want, right? And it's just simple I am statements. And a lot of people, successful people or, whatever, they build that into their lives.
I am a focused business athlete, chasing excellence and pursuing spiritual and financial freedom. Like that's mine. And I just, every day, it's nailed down to that, can rattle it off at any time. And if you could that helps you stay aligned. And I think you are bang on, like the I am versus I will or I want.
Right.
is huge. And the other thing, the last thing on that is you can't, people sit down and they say, I want a Ferrari, or I'm a millionaire. It doesn't work that way. It has to be within your realm. Your brain knows. Your brain knows you're not a millionaire yet, or a billionaire, whatever you want to be. You have to say, I am engaging in the activities on the pursuit of financial independence. That's real.
That's real. Yeah.
That's obtainable.
I am taking action on the opportunities I've created or discovered, right? Like, you know the end goal. So you've read the book Atomic Habits.
Oh,
You
yeah.
read that one? Yeah, James Clear. So that's a fantastic book, and he talks about all the habits and the things that it's the end goal is not the success or the achievement or the happiness. It's everyone talks about it's not the destination, it's the journey, but he dives into it deeper, saying the end goal does not matter when you've built the right systems and processes to get to that goal. So you back into it. And so I am taking action on opportunities that present myself to get to that goal. That's what makes you happy, is the process and the systems.
Who you become along the way.
Yeah, and you change your identity, right? And you become
Absolutely.
like, an example, you're an unfit person and you want to lose 100 pounds, right? Now you start thinking, it's like, I want to lose 100 pounds. I will lose 100 pounds. No. I am down 100. I am thinking like someone who is healthy, right? So every day saying, what would this healthy person do? You become the person that you try and emulate the person that you want to be. And you start thinking along those lines, like, would a person who's 100 pounds less than me eat this cheeseburger and fries, or would they order this salmon and broccoli, right? And so you think about that and you build those I am statements around what you want to become, and then that just compounds and you just become that person that you think.
I found it so interesting about him, James Clear, because read the book and then kind of shelved it. It was so good and it was a big hit, but I didn't realize how envied and like other authors are kind of pissed off about him because no one has a bamboo banger out the gate like he did first try. Like he wrote one book and it went through the charts, I think it's millions of copies, whatever it is. It's
easy.
And Mark Manson also did that. And so those two guys are like other authors that have been trying to produce, self-help bestsellers, because they didn't realize there was an audience of this for men till recently. Kind of Tony Robbins shook it up, but these kind of more masculine, they're not masculine, they're for humans in general, but there wasn't a market for it till now, which is, I think it's pretty damn exciting.
Yeah, well, and Atomic, incremental wins, like just incremental changes, you don't even see them. But when you start, having those thoughts, like smoking, let's say you want to quit smoking and someone's, smoking a cigarette in the back patio at a party or wherever you're at, and they offer you a cigarette and you're like, no, I'm trying to quit, versus the other guy who says, I'm not a smoker. Like, and they're both in the same trajectory, same path. They both quit at the same time and are trying to quit, but one says, no, I'll pass, I'm trying to quit, versus the other one that says, I am not a smoker. The one that's going to be successful is the one that says, I am not a smoker.
Absolutely.
Right? And so, but the incremental change, I think the coolest story of that book that James Clear told was the ice cube one. Do you remember that one? Where the incremental changes, you're sitting in a room, it's 26 degrees, you can see your breath, and you got an ice cube sitting on the table, and it's not doing anything. And incrementally, the room gets warmer 1 degree at a time every couple of minutes. Nothing happens. At 32 degrees, all of a sudden you start seeing some change in that ice cube. And it's very similar to the bamboo story that we had.
Yeah.
The bamboo banger is the faith in your potential. Like nothing happens for years. And then 5 years later, the bamboo shoot, goes up 90 feet. And so it's the incremental changes, the work that you're putting in day and out, and having those I am statements and believing who you are is what you will become. And you just have to change it. If the path that you're on of what you're going to become isn't where really aligned, you've got to re-identify and redefine your purpose.
Amen. I think that's what we've talked about, and why we're here recording these is that purpose, that North Star thing is what I think the majority of people are missing. It's what I was missing.
Totally.
And I'm still ironing mine out, but good God, does it change the way that it changes your whole reality once you wake up knowing what you're after. Like and most people, unfortunately, and I don't think this is anybody's fault, this is a progression of technology. Here's it. This is my favorite quote. Daniel Schottenberger. We have prehistoric brains, medieval institutions and systems, and godlike technology. And that is a dangerous combination. And we have grown so much from our brain capability and mostly technology capability that we're trying to keep up and figure out what our purpose is as human beings with such a comfortable, efficient existence. And the people in, I don't know, we may not want to go that far in this podcast with masters of the universe, but I really think that the fraction of a 1% know all of these things. And I think that once you figure it out, how the deck is stacked, you can talk about the matrix and all this and that, but I don't know. I think that there are some people that know about the things that we're talking about, and it's not shared with everyone. And it's never been more accessible for everyone too.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's that 1% that you talk about, the people, I mean, they're almost alien-like another species, because they're just tapped into it so much further than the most of us. But defining your purpose, I wasn't always this way. I mean, I know you weren't always this way. Growing up, you were a good human being and all that, and you had values and all those things, but I was a party animal. I was drinking a lot and doing all the things when I was in my 20s and, successful in business and all that, but it was just, I didn't know what it was that I wanted or what my purpose was, just kind of going day in and day out until, honestly, it's through experience and a handful of wake-up calls, honestly, that was dude, you're starting to think about what the rest of your life looks like. Let's figure out how you're going to get there. And I think if you have a couple of those wake-up calls, you've got to take action on that and pivot. And you've got to, otherwise you're just going to go down a path. And if you can see yourself going down a path that you don't really want to be going down, and you don't make that change, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life and your family, and it can ruin relationships. And so you have to have that awareness and just constantly putting yourself out there. I think a lot of it has to do with the people that you surround yourself with, that hold you, that talking about that accountability, that inspire and motivate you and can help you share their habits, so that way you can build those habits into your life. And you've got to make that pivot.
Bamboo banger. It's that average of the top 5 people you're surrounding yourself with, and that doesn't have to be in person, right? That can be Ed Milet, that can be James Clear, but you got to surround yourself with those people. And I think the concept, when you talk about our past lives, mine was full of pain, and you can so easily default to, I just defaulted to, it's okay to do the work hard, play hard thing. As your dad said, I was an asset to society. The biggest asset I could be? Absolutely not. But I made a lot of money, paid my taxes, did community service, I did that. But in the spare time, humans either run toward pleasure. No, we do run toward pleasure and away from pain. And there are scientific studies that show how this happens. You have to have both. But if that pleasure is fleeting and just a dopamine-driven escape from what you're feeling emotionally, which is where I was, that is not what you want to run toward, or your time here is first of all probably not going to be very long, but I know it's not going to be very fulfilling. Right. That's just a fact. And so if we can set up our own pain we're running from, which I have identified very clearly, the fears that I have, which are healthy fears, and the pleasure that you're running toward, which is a healthy, fulfilling, spiritually free life, that's when you've got the engine, the caboose, and the carrot that you're driving toward, that makes that's when you hope your life gets more on autopilot with the right practices.
Dude, that's a bamboo banger. That is spot on with the change, even just the little degree of change that you make that just flips your whole destination and where you're going. It doesn't have to be this aha, you can have your wake up calls and things, but it doesn't have to be this drastic change all at once. And it's just these little things man, I'm going to try doing this a little bit differently and focus on it. And then all of a sudden you're open up my mind. Now I can, something new came my way. I'm going to try it this way. And then I'm going to try it that. And it just continues it's circular, right? It's cyclical. And so it just continues to snowball into the change that you want to become. And it's not how do I do all of this now, tomorrow? No, it's not about that. It's how do I make these little changes as I go to get to where it is that I want to be.
Amen, dude. I think that's a wrap for this session. That's some gold. That's some bamboo bangers, and yeah, glad we kept flowing today.
Yeah, that was good. We just threw another pod together.
Love it.